Ever feel like you're just kind of shouting into the void? You know, like you've got this killer idea, something truly game-changing, but actually getting anyone to even notice it in this crazy, noisy world feels downright impossible sometimes.
It's like trying to stand out in a sea of sameness, right?
Exactly. And the thing is, those old school marketing playbooks, what Seth Godin calls the whole TV industrial complex, they just don't cut it anymore.
Just churning things out, mass producing, then blasting out ads everywhere, hoping to catch the biggest audience possible.
It's losing its punch, and Godin would say that's because we're all drowning in choices these days.
Absolutely bombarded with messages constantly.
We've all gotten pretty darn good at just tuning it OUT.
So the question becomes, how do you break through all that?
Right, how do you cut through the noise and make what you offer so compelling, so undeniably interesting that people have to stop and take notice?
And that's exactly what we're diving into today with Godin's Purple Cow.
It's that shift, isn't it? Going from practically being invisible in a sea of similar stuff to being the one thing that stands out from the herd.
Becoming that purple cow. And what's so fascinating about this whole idea is that it recognizes how much consumer behavior has changed.
We're not just passively taking it all in anymore. We're filtering like crazy, doing our own research, relying more and more on word of mouth and our own networks. Gosh, it's like, remember back when deciding on a restaurant meant grabbing that giant phone book?
Right.
Now you've got a million apps, review sites, Instagram feeds.
Telling you everything from the ambiance of the place right down to like the exact spice level of the vindaloo.
Exactly. And that's why I think this idea of being remarkable is so crucial now. It's not even enough to just be good anymore.
You've got to be noteworthy, something people actually feel is worth talking about,
Something that sparks their curiosity.
and gets those conversations going organically.
Okay, but what does that even look like in practice? Because Godin uses some pretty wild examples in the book. Like you've got Starbucks on the one hand, but then he's also talking about Dr. Bronner's soap. Both are kind of iconic in their own ways, but they're going after very different crowds, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. Starbucks really zeroed in on this desire for a third place.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite home, not quite work, but somewhere in between.
That sense of community you get at some of them.
Yeah, where you can unwind a bit, maybe socialize, and okay, yeah, get that caffeine fix.
Yeah.
It became less about just the coffee itself and more about the entire experience, the vibe, the feeling you got being there.
And it's funny how those little details play into it, too. It's like, what is it? They write your name on the cup, right?
Yeah.
This is a small thing, but somehow it makes it feel more personal.
Like they're talking to you specifically.
Exactly. Like you're not just another anonymous face in a coffee shop. You're part of something.
Exactly. Now, Dr. Bronner's, they take a completely different approach. Their soap, well, let's just say it's not exactly known for being subtle,
That packaging, you spot it a mile away.
instantly recognizable. And the labels themselves, they're packed with all these uh, philosophical musings and
That's a whole philosophy lesson right there on your soap bottle.
right. And yet the product itself, it's got this devoted following. People swear by that stuff.
It's almost like they're not even trying to win over the masses, you know? Like they've said, this is who we are, take it or leave it. But that's part of what makes them so interesting, right? You can't help but respect that kind of boldness. And, you know, that boldness, it kind of ties into this whole sneezers idea, doesn't it?
Definitely.
These are the folks who stumble upon something remarkable and they just have to spread the word. Godin really emphasizes how much more impactful they are than any billboard or fancy TV ad could ever hope to be.
It's true. Think about it like with Dr. Bronner's again for a second.
Hmm?
You don't exactly see them shelling out for Super Bowl commercials, right? But the people who love their soap, they're passionate.
They're the ones writing those crazy detailed reviews online, telling all their friends about it.
Snapping pics for their Instagram stories.
They become walking, talking endorsements.
Exactly.
It's so true. I can't tell you how many times I've been swayed by a friend raving about some, like, weird soap they found with the crazy label. And it's not just about being, like, intentionally quirky or different for the sake of it either, because then Godin brings up otaku.
Yeah. This intense, almost obsessive passion for finding the absolute best within a specific category.
Right. Like, some people can tell you the entire history of, say, craft beer brewing, or they'll spend hours debating the pros and cons of different noise-canceling headphones. It's next level.
It is. Otaku goes way beyond just a casual interest. It's like this deep dive, this real quest for the very best there is.
So if you can tap into an existing passion like that, or even better, if you create something that sparks that otaku-level devotion, you're onto something really powerful.
It's like those niche communities that pop up around everything from vintage typewriters to, like gourmet hot sauce.
Really cool.
People go all in.
And remember Godin's point about hot sauce versus mustard?
Cool, yeah.
Like, okay, mustard might be this huge overall market, but hot sauce enthusiasts are playing a whole different game.
Oh, yeah, they are.
They're the ones searching out these super unique flavors, experimenting with all the spice levels.
Sharing their discoveries with anyone who'll listen.
And that, right there, that's otaku in action.
Driving those markets for smaller, more specialized businesses.
Which I totally get. I can't even tell you how many times I've gotten sucked into reading a million online reviews just because I needed to find like the absolute best wireless charger or that perfect pair of hiking boots, that obsessive search for quality. That's otaku, right?
100%. And it highlights something really important here. Being remarkable, it's not about being the loudest one in the room. It's not about being the most outrageous. It's about being noteworthy.
Being worthy of those conversations.
Something that people genuinely want to talk about. And that sparks that word-of-mouth marketing that you simply can't buy.
So it's not just about grabbing attention, it's about holding on to it. It's about earning it in the first place, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately making people feel like they want to be part of whatever it is you're creating.
Exactly.
Which kind of leads us to another big idea from Purple Cow, this whole concept of permission and building those genuine relationships with your audience.
It's huge.
But how do you actually de-doe that in our world? Like, we're talking about information overload. Everyone's vying for our attention. Our inboxes are already overflowing.
You're right. It's a challenge for sure. It's about this shift, I think, from interruption to invitation.
I like that.
Instead of just blasting out, those generic messages to everyone under the sun, you get really focused on creating something truly valuable for a smaller, more engaged audience.
You're not trying to be everything to everyone.
Right. You earn their attention. You do it by giving them something they genuinely want. Maybe it's information, maybe it's entertainment, maybe it's a sense of belonging to a community.
It's like how some bands now, they're releasing like exclusive content or they're giving behind-the-scenes access just to their most loyal fans. Right?
Exactly. Think about Pearl Jam releasing something like 72 live albums.
Wow.
It's not a strategy for every band out there, but for their hardcore fans, it was gold.
I bet.
It was a way to go deeper with the music they already loved. It's about cultivating that sense of being part of something special.
And that exclusivity, that feeling like you're in the know, it does make it even more appealing, doesn't it?
It does. And then you want to tell other people about it. You want to share that experience.
Totally.
And that's exactly the opposite of just throwing a bunch of marketing out there and hoping something sticks. It's about cultivating this dedicated tribe, this group of passionate advocates who are truly invested in your success. Think about how Seth Godin does it with his own email list. He's built a seriously loyal following by consistently delivering valuable insights, building that trust over time. He's earned their attention, so they actually want to hear from him.
It makes such a difference, doesn't it? Building that direct line, that trust, instead of just, like we were saying, shouting into the void.
Exactly. And that takes a real shift in mindset, honestly. It takes a willingness to embrace a little risk, and even to see failure not as the end of the world, but as a necessary step in the process. It's all part of finding your purple cow.
So you're saying it's about being willing to experiment, to keep iterating and evolving your approach over time.
100%. Look at a company like Zara, constantly updating their clothing lines, paying attention to those real-time trends and customer feedback. Or Logitech, they built a whole reputation for great design and user experience, and they did it by pushing boundaries, constantly trying new things.
It's like that saying, if you're not being criticized, you're not doing anything remarkable. And it does take guts, honestly, to step outside that comfort zone.
It does, to break away from the herd and really be that purple cow.
Because that fear of judgment, of standing out too much, it holds so many people back, doesn't it?
It does. But here's the thing. In a world that's already so saturated with the ordinary, with more of the same, being different, being remarkable, that's the only way to actually be seen.
It's so true. And I'm thinking about that butcher Godin talks about, Dario Cecchini over in Italy.
Oh yeah, what a story.
He doesn't just like sell meat. The guy turns the entire experience into this performance.
He's a character.
He's quoting Dante. He's serenading customers with opera.
I think he even held like a mock funeral for a steak, didn't he?
He did. When the EU said they couldn't sell those cuts with the bone in anymore. Talk about making an impression.
brilliant marketing, though, when you think about it.
Yeah.
He took this totally normal transaction and turned it into this memorable event, this story people just have to tell others about.
Exactly. And suddenly his business, it's not just another butcher shop. It's this destination. It's the Purple Cow in a world of, well, regular butcher shops.
Which proves that you can find those opportunities for remarkability anywhere, really, even in the most unexpected places.
It really does, because even something as, I don't know, as every day as a grocery store, it can become a Purple Cow if it's done right.
Oh, totally.
Like Stu Leonard's.
Yeah, they've got the singing animatronic characters. They've got a petting zoo.
Their customer service is legendary.
It all adds to the experience. They get that it's not just about what's on the shelves. It's about how you make people feel, the entire experience they have.
Because that's how you build that loyalty, that word-of-mouth buzz that money can't buy. And that's what ultimately builds a successful business, right?
No doubt. But, and this is important, even Purple Cows, they can lose their shine after a while.
Oh, totally. Things change.
Godin actually uses Stu Leonard's to illustrate that too. How even if you nail it, staying remarkable, it takes constant work.
Because it's easy to get complacent, isn't it?
It is. Especially once you've had some success. It's tempting to just stick with what works, play it safe.
Right.
But the thing is, the world's not standing still. It's constantly changing. So if you're not moving forward, you're falling behind.
It's that whole safe is risky idea from the book.
Exactly. So to stay relevant, to stay remarkable, you have to keep adapting, keep innovating, even embrace a little risk along the way.
And that's something we can all do, right? No matter what we do, how big or small our business is or our platform, whatever.
It is. It's about asking yourself, okay, how can I be a little bolder here? How can I really push the boundaries in my field? It's about finding that purple cow within yourself, and then, this is key, having the courage to actually share it with the world.
It's about taking that leap. So I guess as we wrap up our deep dive here into Purple Cow, the question I'd leave everyone with is, what makes you remarkable? What unique skills or passions or ideas can you bring to the table that are worth shouting about?
Because in a world that's becoming more and more obsessed with the ordinary, it's the purple cows who truly make a difference.
It's your time to shine.
Let that remarkability be your guide.